when we are building our infrastructure, we have to set up our trunk links. When we set up our trunk links, there are too many options. Those options control things like, well, how many VLANs are going to cross, but option I want to speak to you right now is how we run Dynamic Trunking Protocol, DTP, Dynamic Trunking Protocol. There's this little protocol that runs on our switches, show DTP interface, and let's say gigabit 0/1. Okay, let's scroll up to the part where we care about it. DTP, I didn't do anything. This is essentially a pretty basic port, is running. The hello timer is running. And we are in a state where we are willing participants in a neighborship. Let's look at this a little bit more clearly now. With show interface switch port, we are in dynamic auto. There is a matrix of configuration options. And what's interesting is the configuration option that you default to may be a problematic one. Let's look at this set of options, starting with switch port mode dynamic auto. That is, for many switch ports, the default. What this says is, I'll do what you ask me to do. If you don't ask me to do anything, I will be an access port. So 2 switches configured in this manner are going to be in access state. And I think that's what's going on here. Show interface trunk. I don't have any trunks. It's because I'm in dynamic auto. If you say on one side to be dynamic desirable, both sides will agree. One side can ask. We make a joke sometimes in class. We say, it's like a junior high dance. 2 sides that are, on opposite ends that don't ask each other, well, nobody's dancing. But if one side asks the other to dance, then they will. That's dynamic desirable. The command switch port mode dynamic desirable does that. So I'll do that. I'll configure a range of ports, GI 1, 2, switch port mode dynamic desirable. Now, but before I make the change, I'm going to go over to, let's just say DSW1, and I'll validate that this interface is not a trunk link yet. Did the wrong command. It is not trunking. DSW1 over 102, which is my port to ASW1, is not trunking yet. I do this command. Now it's trunking. Very, very quickly. I was negotiated. That's what the N hyphen means. That's what the N hyphen means. I was negotiated. And we're good to go. So that's an option for us. Then there's another option, switch port mode trunk. Now on this choice, which is my preferred choice, both sides really should have the same configuration. However, because we are still running DTP, we haven't turned it off. Because we're still running DTP, you will tell the other side, you better be a trunk. So if the other side is dynamic auto, or desirable, or explicitly a trunk, we will trunk. Now, there's a setting that says no negotiate. When you say switch port no negotiate, you turn off DTP. Now, That is the command. Switch port no negotiate. Now, it says you're dynamic desirable. You can't do that. You can't do that. What about dynamic auto? This side is set to dynamic auto. Doesn't work either. But if you do switch port mode trunk, then you can follow this command up and you force the issue without getting involved in negotiation. A lot of people like this because they think that the port comes up faster. I've seen design documents from Cisco that indicate as much. I've never seen a benefit. Some people say that you're more secure with no negotiate. You'll have to think about that one and internalize whether you think you're really that much more secure. I don't think you are. But you want to get into a situation, or you don't want to get into a situation where you have limited connectivity, where like one side is being forcefully trunking and the other side is not willing to make that jump. Switch port access, that just means we're explicitly not trunking and we're for a singular VLAN. Understanding these interactions is going to help you in testing and troubleshooting. In the real world, I would encourage you to stick with either switch port mode dynamic desirable or switch port mode trunk. If you don't like those and you want to do no negotiate also on top of the explicit trunk, some people choose that. I'm not going to say it's wrong. I, in fact, am saying it's definitely not wrong, but that's just not my preferred trunking config.